The draft 2020 consolidated community budget is in balance of income and expenditure to the tune of 399,499,261 units of account, representing a 4.7% increase in income and expenditure over the 2019 approved consolidated community budget. The budget figures in West African units of account were presented by the Administration and Finance Committee of the ECOWAS Commission at the ongoing second ordinary session of the Parliament in Abuja. The breakdown covers the ECOWAS Commission, Parliament, the Community Court of Justice, the West African Health Organization, and the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering, as well as the Auditor General's Office.
We have a directive of Council that we should cut down on our administrative expenses and put more on programs that will benefit the people, and that is exactly what we have done.
The sitting, presided by the First Deputy Speaker of the Parliament, Idris Wase, acknowledged the budget and pledged to treat with dispatch.
Parliament should give its opinion, including where necessary proposals for the amendments of the draft community budget in accordance with Article 11 of the Supplementary Act.
Let me start first by thanking the Nigerian government, our biggest donor, our biggest supporter in our region that has stood by ECOWAS, and until we can begin to encourage other member states in my own country, Liberia, to remain committed to paying our community levy, our budget will continue to shrink.
The whole essence of the budget debate is to see if Parliament has some proposal for changes to be made.
The advantage of bringing the budget to Parliament is the Parliament are the true representative of the people.
The Parliament referred the budget proposal to its ad hoc committee on administration, finance and budget control for further legislative action. In Abuja, Adwa Demo Also, NTA News.
In other news, advancing social justice and building the future of work in Africa is the focus of the 14th African Regional Meeting of Tripartite Constituents taking place in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, involving delegates from 54 African countries. Emmanuel Ayimiro in Abidjan reports that the meeting being organized by the International Labour Organization is to assist the continent achieve implementation of full employment for her youth.
It's been 4 years after African leaders adopted the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development Goals in Addis Ababa, with focus on ways to eradicate poverty in the continent through a number of initiatives, which include decent work for her youth population. The deadline for the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 Agenda is just 10 years away. The 14th African Regional Meeting has noticed that overall progress is less than adequate. This meeting is therefore crucial for delegates to assess the situation and renew efforts to ensure a solid world of work, contribute to the SDGs in the next decades.
Key among the challenges that we still face as a continent include creating an enabling business environment, tackling informality, addressing low productivity, solving the skills mismatch, and promoting lifelong learning.
We appeal to our governments always to try and stand up and negotiate for fair businesses globally.
For the ILO, working together for the advancement of social justice, shaping an African decent work agenda 2020 to 30 is key if the 1.3 billion inhabitants with the world's largest young workforce must be free from poverty.
What we seek is a future of work with social justice as the surest guarantee that we can have of peace, stability and prosperity in Africa and in the world.
The decision of Friday set a new agenda for steps to be taken for the attainment of this job agenda of 2030 for the continent. From Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire, Emmanuel Ayimiro, NTA News.
Thank you, Ayimiro. And still on the global scene, let's join Deborah Brookslyn Sunday for more reports.
We begin this segment with the hate speech bill. A political officer at the Embassy of the United States of America, Jerry Howard, has described the hate speech bill pending before the National Assembly as an impressive piece of legislation expected to address issues of discrimination, hostility, and violence in Nigeria. The American diplomat made his position known in a meeting with Senator Abdullahi Sabi, the sponsor of the bill, at the National Assembly, Abuja. He advised the legislature to engage and educate non-governmental and civil society organizations on the contents to attract more supports for the bill. The Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate, Abdullahi Sabi, said some of the reasons why violence takes place emanates from discriminatory practices, which the bill seeks to address. In another development, months after a man was shot dead in Berlin Park, Germany is throwing out 2 Russian diplomats because it suspects the murder was ordered by Russia or its ally. The expulsions come shortly after Germany's chief prosecutor decided to take over the case. Germany has accused Russia of failing to assist in the investigation. Russia has rejected accusations of its involvement as absolutely groundless and said it will retaliate. And on a sad note, rescuers in Kenya have retrieved the body of a teenager who drowned as she tried to save a man who had got into trouble as he was crossing a swollen river. Anna Nduku, 19, fell into the Kandisi River near Oganta Rongai on the outskirts of the capital, Nairobi. She is one of the more than 130 people who have died as a result of the flooding caused by the heavy rains that have been falling since October. Residents say this is just the latest in a series of accidents that have seen several people being swept away over the last 2 years. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday, NTA News.
Quite sad there. Let's take a break now. We're back. Stay tuned.
NTAI has gone mobile. Catch your favorite programs anywhere in the world by going to Play Store on Android and App Store on iOS. Search for Vision TV UK, download and install. Then you're good to go.
Thanks for staying with us. Steering and technical committees on goal-referenced infrastructure and demographic data development has been inaugurated by Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo. The committees are to oversee the project nationally and determine strategic and technical priorities. We'll bring you details of that report in our subsequent bulletin. But let's move on to legislative matters now. No nation can experience socio-economic transformation with a cumbersome public procurement process. In cognizance of this, the Senate embarked on the amendment of Nigeria's Public Procurement Act aimed at reducing bottlenecks and ensure timely completion of projects. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Ogwo reports.
It was the second plenary of the week, but the first legislative business session having suspended its Tuesday's plenary. Prominent among the items on the order paper was the consideration of the Public Procurement Act Amendment Bill. The amendment is mainly to reduce delay associated with Nigeria's procurement process by stipulating a timeline for the whole process, 2 weeks for the process and 4 working days for issuance of certificate of no objection, while mobilization fees to contractors is to be increased from 15 to 30%.
Institution of e-procurement model through the deployment of information communication technology in order to curtail partial interference in the procurement system in accordance with the global best practices.
Minimum easy processes that can easily be accomplished in order to fast track the procurement process.
Then we should have a time frame, a date, which maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
With this amendment, the procurement process will be faster, and therefore the budget implementation will be faster and better.
Senate has confirmed the appointment of Lalibot Johnson from Bayelsa State and Omar Gajiram from Borno as resident electoral commissioners of the Independent National Electoral Commission, while it stepped now the confirmation of Rahim Olalekon from Osun State. Senator Sani Musa drew the attention of the Senate to what he described as ongoing attacks by bandits in Rafi and Shiroro local government areas of Niger State and the urgent need for security chiefs to deploy personnel to the areas, while Senator Sandy Ono also called on security agencies to intervene in the persistent crisis in some local government areas in Cross River State. Senate harped on the necessity of establishing a national commission for people living with disabilities and to ensure that all public structures have unhindered access for people living with disabilities. This followed a motion by Senator Istifanus Gyang in marking the 2019 Day of People Living with Disabilities, during which senators also resolved to contribute 100,000 naira each for people living with disabilities through their various organizations.
Top that persons with disabilities still face discrimination in the areas of equal access and full participation in the political, social, economic, and cultural aspect of our national life.
Senate has sworn in Senator Smart Adeyemi of the All Progressives Congress, representing Kogi West Senatorial District of Kogi State. He defeated Senator Dino Melaye in the just concluded rerun election in the Senatorial District. Well, the Senate has received the report of its Committee on Appropriations on the 2020 Appropriation Bill. Well, this is one of the final phases of passing the budget, as President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, announced the Senate will be passing the budget on Thursday. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, met with the All Progressive Congress women leaders from the 36 states of the Federation, during which he assured them of the gains of their commitments.
We all condemn the killing of the woman leader in Lokoja, in Kogi State, during the last gubernatorial election. No matter who did it, that act was barbaric, was condemnable.
The women commended the Senate for its purposeful leadership under Senator Ahmed Lawan. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTN News.
And next is Sports Update.
The clock is ticking very fast. World attention will focus on Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for a unique kind of pilgrimage, where dethroned world boxing champion Anthony Joshua will be seeking redemption.
Joshua King and Ruiz right back.
Those punches by Andrew Ruiz Jr. in Joshua's 23rd professional fight at Madison Square Garden in USA halted a 100% boxing record which started on October 5, 2013. Right in his eyes, the 29-year-old Mexican